they did it. They patched the broken pitching meta. They actually did it. There was a patch last night that updated your PCI. If you've been playing MLB The Show over the last week or so, you may have realized that a lot of people picked up a pitching meta that basically revolved around throwing pitches on the lower inside and outside corners. If you located pitches right on the corners, you would essentially be guaranteed to give up only a line drive or a ground ball. You couldn't really hit home runs on these pitches, even though in real life it is basically possible. But in game, they have limitations to the PCI, so you can't move it everywhere. So it was basically impossible to really succeed against good players when they were hitting these spots. So, they apparently fixed this. We're going to go through the patch notes, break them down, go over all of the implications, because while this is a fix for the issue, there may be other things that are going to be affected in gameplay that are definitely worth going over. And we're going to test this ourselves to see how viable this patch is, and hopefully it actually resolved the issue. Let's get into it. What is going on, everyone? I appreciate you all watching this video. In case you are brand new and don't know, I upload a lot of tips and informational videos like this one to help you all get better at MLB The Show 21. If you're brand new to the channel, have not done it already, make sure you hit that sub button notification bell to keep up with all the uploads we have on here. Also, I do stream on Twitch, so if you have any questions you want to ask me, feel free to swing by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/scan. Come hang out with me as I grind a monthly award program today, and feel free to ask me any questions on your lineups or anything like that if you want to come hang out with me over there. And finally, if you do enjoy this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Obviously, we do a lot of stuff covering the in-game stuff analytically like this. If you like to see this type of thing, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I like to get your feedback on this type of stuff to see if you actually enjoy them or not as we mess around and do different things in the latter part of the year here. But now, let's go into the gameplay patch notes, break down exactly what was changed, and see how much that this update actually did to resolve this issue. So these are the patch notes directly off of MLB The Show's site. This update came out last night, so if you're playing the game today on October 5th, this is the most recent update. As you see, there are a couple aspects of the update. There isn't that much to it, but the gameplay changes are going to be somewhat noticeable. First, the PCI range and sensitivity has been increased to reach corners of the zone. It's most noticeable in the Hall of Fame and Legend. So they use the image as a visual aspect of it. Before, you could only move your PCI as far as here, essentially. So if there was a pitch located right here, for example, you would try to move your PCI out to the corner and you would essentially hit a ground ball every time. But now, they extended that range so you could move that PCI to the corner. Couple of things, the main reason this became a meta, especially on Legend difficulty where the PCIs are especially small, people found that with pinpoint pitching, since you could basically locate where you want, if you kept on locating pitches right down here in this corner, you really couldn't elevate the ball. When you're playing good players and you're minimizing home runs and you're basically forcing them to hit ground balls, you're going to do a lot better as a pitcher. And yes, I get there's a real life aspect to locating on the corners, and that, you know, if you pitch in these corners in real life, you're going to induce a lot of ground balls. The one thing with this is that in the game, it just physically was impossible to elevate the ball at all. So yes, while most of the time pitching in these corners should induce ground balls, I feel like it's going to be definitely easier to elevate the ball since you get the PCI here. And now if you locate it right in the corner, you can hit some line drives. If it's a little bit above, now this part of the zone becomes way more hittable. And especially on Hall of Fame and Legend difficulties where these PCIs are small, this is where you're really going to notice it the most. There are other implications to this as well. Keep in mind that if the range and sensitivity has been increased to reach the corners, you're going to notice a couple things. You see how much farther the PCI comes out? If you're locating on these corners here, you're going to have to really be careful, because now you may see some more foul balls. You may see some more hits on pitches out here, which back then, if you were to throw like right out here, you literally can't do anything with that. So if you're going to locate on these corners, you have to be very careful with how you locate there. You got to really focus on changing speeds. And honestly, I personally think it would be harmful to aim directly on the corner at all times, especially against good players, because they'll read that and just jam their PCI down into the right. And these pitches will become very easy to hit if they're located right on the corner. So like many people do, maybe don't locate right on the corners and locate just a little bit above or below these corners, so they jam their PCIs into the corners and you're inducing fly balls and ground balls that way. back then, before you had this patch, if you were to pitch these pitches in the corner, they'd be grounders. But now that people are going to jam their PCIs down to those corners for a while, you're going to want to change up your pitching approach likely a little bit. Also, keep in mind, this is going to affect the up and away and up and in corners too. So when you're aiming right on these corners, aiming high, you almost want to extend those pitches a little higher than normal. But you got to be careful as well, because now the PCI is going to be a little higher in the corners. So like this circle, we'll call it, is going to be that region where you can probably hit the ball very hard. When before, you were kind of limited to say like over here. So you could extend and aim a pitch up here without as much of a punishment. So you kind of got to adjust your pitching if you are someone that likes to aim on these corners a lot. They also mentioned that pinpoint is difficult on competitive settings and legend difficulty. So in Diamond Dynasty, this means that pinpoint is going to be difficult to execute those perfect and good pitches. It seems like from the reading of this, that it's going to be difficult in all difficulties. It's going to be a little bit scaled up, but on legend difficulty, it seems like it's especially more difficult to execute a perfect pitch, which is just them trying to balance it as well, because a lot of legend players were good enough to get consistent perfects all the time. And it's not the worst thing, but you got to make it a little bit more skilled and really reward those perfect pitch locations, because they shouldn't be happening as often as they probably were in those games they found. Now let's go into custom practice and test the implications of this. Let's see if we could move the PCI down like this and see how much of an impact it has. All right, so I'm in custom practice here, and I have the location directly set to the bottom away corner. We're just gonna kind of test to see what your PCI can do. As you see, your PCI goes all the way down here now. So when you do jam your PCI down to the right, you're going to be aiming a lot further down. When you used to go in the corners, you used to be able to stop right around here. This is like about the furthest you could get. So it made it very difficult to elevate balls located right on the black here. But like I said before, there are a couple other implications of this. Now when you jam your PCI right on the corners here, as you see I'm doing here, I'm missing a lot of balls right on the corner here, because when you used to see those pitches on the corner, you would jam your PCI down and they would essentially be right on the ball if they were right in the zone here. I mean, now that the PCI is more room to expand, the sensitivity is almost a little higher. So when you do jam the PCIs in the corner now, if a pitch is located in the zone right around here, you kind of miss it, when before you would do that to kind of square up the ball a lot. You see, there's a great elevated swing that you definitely used to not be able to do before. As you see, now you can hit that corner with your PCI and it becomes a lot more doable to elevate that. See that right there? Even though I was late on that, I got my PCI to the lower part of the zone there, and I did hit the top of the PCIs. So like I said before, this is obviously a good counter to the issue. This overall fixes the issue where you physically weren't able to get your PCI down to the corner. Obviously, when we used to play this game and you were limited on the PCI, you would just move your stick all the way down to the left and right like this, and that would limit you to where you can move, and you can only move it the parts in the zone. So if you are someone like me who would kind of jam that PCI to the corners, now when you do that, you're not just going to be in the zone, you're going to be off like just right on the black, and the only pitch you will be able to really square up if you jam your PCI like that, especially on like Legend and Hall of Fame, are pitches right on the corner, right on the line. So one thing that many of us are going to need to do, in my opinion, we're going to need to get used to where the PCI is going. It's definitely overall more sensitive. We got to get used to having this precise stick movement, because we used to jam this down in the corner below before, but now you definitely can't do that unless the pitch is basically right there. This is the PCI in Hall of Fame, by the way, and one thing I will say is that it is definitely a slight difference on Hall of Fame here. On Legend there, since you could get it directly on the corner with how small it was, you definitely can get punished more for, you know, missing a spot in that corner with your PCI, because you would be right on the corner, and a pitch right here you would likely elevate and miss. But on Hall of Fame here, it doesn't feel as dramatic. You can still get it to the corner, and you're still going to be able to elevate pitches there, But it's definitely the biggest deal on Legend here. As you see, you can get directly in the corner, and when you jam your PCI, like I used to, for example, you're gonna miss a lot of swings because of that. So if you're someone who plays on Legend consistently, you'll likely need to take some BP and get used to this. That's what I'm gonna do. But in the Hall of Fame All-Star difficulty, the one thing I'm noticing is that yes, you can get the PCI down there, and you'll be able to elevate balls, but you could still get away with jamming that PCI in the corners more because the PCI is way bigger, and you can get rewarded for swings where you just kind of jam it in the corner. So overall, did this fix it? Yes, this definitely fixed the issue. I think overall we are looking at a better game at this point. I think it's better now that you can hit those pitches, elevate them, and if people do pitch in the corners and you throw, like, say, a floating changeup right on the corner there and you're ready for it, you could absolutely hit tanks on those pitches now, which I think is overall good. When before, the only way you could do it was if you were late on the pitch, and usually when you're late on the ball, you get a lot weaker exit velocities. But the reason you were able to do it with late swings is because when you're early and late, it actually slightly adjusts your PCI location based off that. So if you're late on the ball, I mean, it lowers your PCI a little bit if you're late on the ball, and if you're early on the ball, it slightly raises your PCI. And they say this in the in-game manual because it's supposed to emulate how in real life you have like a different angle on the ball based on the timing of your swing. But it was like kind of the main only thing you could do to elevate the ball with pitches on the corner like that. But now you can elevate pitches on the corner there easily. But there are going to be some adjustments, in my opinion, for good players. Now that this is a thing, if you're someone like me, you would jam those PCIs, you're going to need to make some adjustments and fine tuning with your PCI. Because if you're not aiming right on the lines there, and they throw it in the zone and you jam that PCI now, you're likely going to miss the pitch because of this. So you got to get used to this sensitivity, especially on Legend difficulty. But for most people on Hall of Fame All-Star, I think you guys are going to be fine. You don't need to do that much change in terms of your PCI to still hit those pitches down in the corners. But I will say for me, I'm likely going to need to make some adjustments. And now that your PCIs can go this far, you'll likely see some more foul balls, and it may be a little difficult to strike out some people, especially on those lower difficulties for this reason. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this patch breakdown. Now that we have this issue fixed, hopefully rank can be a little bit more stress-free to play for many people, because I know a lot of people would run into people pitching in this meta, and people just got very frustrated with it, including me. I ran into good players who would do it, and I could see the frustration, especially on Legend difficulty. This is a good solution to the issue. If you have any feedback, if you have played the game today and have experienced any sort of improvements or any issues that you've run into, definitely let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I appreciate you all watching. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. We got a tier list inbound this week because of all new players, like the monthly awards, ranked seasons awards, all that are coming out or have come out this week. So make sure you keep updated with the channel. There's a big week of content. But I'll see you all again on the next video. Deuces.